Good morning. Hi, everybody. How's everyone doing this morning? Happy Wednesday. Wednesday is the day that is actually ruled by Mercury. And so Mercury is in retrograde. That's what this series has been about. We've been having a conversation about Mercury retrograde and how to actually use the energy while Mercury is in retrograde. Before I started studying astrology, I had no idea that there was something called Mercury retrograde. And once I started studying astrology, I was aware that Mercury was everything. And when it went into retrograde, it transformed, changed everything in my life. And I have since taught myself to master my mind, to learn to think in alignment with what it is I desire to have outpictured rather than what I don't. And all of that is Mercury. And I have, for the last decade, used Mercury retrograde in the ways that I'm sharing with you guys. Normally, this will be a class that people would pay $300 for. But I'm in a deep internal conversation around the information that I have and the wisdom that I have and how it's so necessary for us as human beings to learn how to really function in the way that we're meant to function. And a paywall just doesn't allow the information to get out in a way that I really want it to be utilized. And so I'm working that out inside of myself. Like, how do I share the wisdom that I have, and how do I take care of myself? How do I pay my rent? Because I don't really want to, it doesn't feel good oftentimes for me to charge for things. Not everything. Some things, when people want to sit down with me personally, absolutely, pay for my time. But this information is the stuff that should be on the news. Like how to use Mercury retrograde should be on the news because it will benefit our culture. It will benefit our information and how we relate to the world, and it will help us transform. And because it's not readily available, people don't know. That's what I'm aware of. Like, people actually just don't know. And there was a time when I didn't know. So I get it. So Mercury is going direct on Sunday. Here's what Mercury retrograde is. Mercury is the planet that rules our mind, our communication. It also rules technology. It also rules transactions. It also rules short trips and short travel. And so it rules things that have a great deal of impact in our lives. That's the thing about Mercury. It's so personal to us because it's our mind. And when we don't have a true relationship with it and understand how it works, we are always at a deficit. We're always at a deficit, and it's like you'll take 2 steps forward and then none back, or not none back, 3 back. You'll take 5 steps forward and 2 back. Like, if you don't understand how the energy really works, there is a time to go backwards. There's a time to go backwards with the intention to reflect, with the intention to look and see what needs to be readjusted. And that is when Mercury is retrograde. 3 times a year. The universe is so generous. The universe is like, we're going to give you an opportunity to really get this right. And 3 times a year, you have an opportunity. So Mercury goes retrograde 3 times a year. What Mercury retrograde is, there is the pre-shadow. So this time, Mercury has gone from the 6th degree of Virgo to the 22nd degree of Virgo. The 6th degree, of Sagittarius. The 6th degree of Virgo, the 6th degree of Sagittarius to the 22nd degree of Sagittarius. And the 6th degree is a degree that is ruled by Virgo. And the 22nd degree is a degree that is ruled by Capricorn. So here's what this means. This means that we have, during this Mercury retrograde, a prime opportunity to transform our inner karma, like how we treat ourselves, how we talk to ourselves, what we know about ourselves. And That sounds simple, and it is. It is simple. But we also have to understand we live in a world of oneness. So how you treat yourself sometimes is how you treat others. How you think, right? Like, are you thinking about yourself in a kind, loving way? Are you thinking about others in kind, loving ways? Or are you thinking from a place of competition, scarcity, fear? All of that can be transformed during this time. And whether you're doing it or not, you're creating it. Whether you're conscious of it or not, whether you're like thinking about Mercury retrograde and what's going on, whether you're conscious of it or not, it's still happening. So, you can stay in the house all day with the lights off and the blinds pulled and no light coming in, but the sun is still out. It's still out outside. Even if you're not aware of it, it's still out. And that is how these retrogrades work. They're impacting you whether you know it or not. So you could be reinforcing negative behaviors, negative patterns, outdated patterns, ancestral patterns that don't serve you anymore, because the retrograde is making everything more amplified. So whatever you're doing, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's still being a part of this retrograde. To be conscious is to be aware of how it's impacting you and to make choices in it and to know that that is a blessing at this time on the planet, because most people aren't really aware of how it works. It's getting more popular. When I first started doing this stuff, everybody was just laughing at me, huh? And I felt some kind of way about that. But I also knew that this was my language and I didn't have, I had to keep going. So even though people laughed at me and was like, oh, Mercury must be retrograde, I was just like, it did hurt my feelings. Let me be honest. It hurt my feelings. It hurt my feelings that people that I was friends with would laugh at me. But I get it because they didn't understand. But it still did hurt my feelings. So now, I think I was trying to say, when Mercury, okay, so the pre-shadow is, I was telling the story the other day, is like, so if you're getting ready to go somewhere, this actually happened to me yesterday, if you're getting ready to go somewhere and you leave your front door and you go to your car and you realize that you forgot your car keys, you can't get in your car. So then the route that you took to your car, you turn around and you take that route right back. You come in your house and you get your keys. So the first route is Mercury's pre-shadow. That's the example. You went to your car and you forgot the keys, and then you turn around, you turn backwards to come back. That's the retrograde, when you turn around and come back. So the first one went from 6 all the way to the 22nd degree, and then you forgot the keys and you turn around and you come all the way back to the 6th degree, and then you get your keys and you go back and you walk all the way back to the 22nd degree. That is Mercury retrograde. And where are we right now? We are at the place where Mercury is about to go and pick up its keys and go, okay, I got my keys. It's opening the door to go in the house and get its keys. That's where we are. We are at the 8th degree in the retrograde. And the 8th degree is a degree that is ruled by Scorpio and Pluto. And so the astrology today is really interesting. So today is a great day. Because Venus is in opposition with Mars, and Mars is retrograde. Venus is in Aquarius, and Venus in Aquarius is an invitation to be true to your own feelings. This is so important, you all, especially for women. I think men have a different experience of this because they're wired differently. But as women, we tend to lean into one another, and we tend to be less individualistic, whether we think we are or not. But what I'm saying is this is an opportunity to really own your feelings. How do you feel about something? And It could be something, because it's Aquarius, it could be far out. It could be really unique, really different, not like anyone. Because if you don't govern your own sensory self, if you don't govern your own feelings, you can't be what the Creator created you for. Like, you're not trustworthy to be what the Creator created you for. Like, you've got to understand, like I was just telling you, I learned this retrograde stuff, and the people who were closest to me would laugh at me, and it hurt my feelings. I'm right now, it hurt my feelings, but I knew that if I wasn't true to what I know, even in the face of other people's misunderstanding or poo-pooing on it, even if I didn't stand in it, I was not sending the message to the universe that I'm trustworthy. I'm trustworthy. I mean, you have to think about everything that has been created that has changed our culture. It did not exist before. So you have to come up against a great deal of opposition with others, but also even in yourself, because when you're doing something that is new and others don't agree with it, and you've not done it either, but it feels right, you just have to follow the feeling. This is what I'm talking about with Venus and Aquarius. It's following a feeling to the future. It's literally, you don't see it, nobody gets it, but it feels like it's in your gut, and you have to. Has anybody ever had that feeling before? Oh my God, you guys. Have you ever had that feeling where it's just like, ugh? So Venus is in opposition to Mars, and Mars is retrograde in Leo. So Mars retrograde is going to go on until like February, you all. And Mars retrograde is going to go on till like February. So this is just getting started. And Mars in Leo, Mars is your will. So what I'm talking about is really tuning your will, fine-tuning your will. This is like tuning a piano, you all. I grew up in a household where pianos were present, where instruments were present. So if you haven't played an instrument, you might not have a sense of this. But the frequency, the sound, right? Like when we listen to music, we just listen to it. But people who play music, if you hit the wrong chord, it's all fucked up, okay? It's all fucked up. Like, it has to sound a certain way. That's why people like Whitney Houston, the fact that she could do it was miraculous, because to be able to hear is something else. And you also have to develop that in your body. It feels like your frequency. It smells right to you. It tastes good to you. It works for you. It's a very intimate, personal thing that no one else has access to. And you've got to know it for yourself. And so how do you get to it? How do you trust it? How do you, right? First of all, you just recognize it. You just acknowledge it. Oh, I feel something. Don't fucking ignore it, okay? Like, most of us are ignoring our feelings, especially as women, because we don't want other people to be in disagreement with us or any of that kind of stuff. So you literally recognize it. I have a feeling. You know, like, so when I first started doing this Mercury retrograde stuff, I was just like, this feels right to me. And even though people were, Mercury is the planets, making fun of me, it just felt right to me. It was my language, and I knew it. And nobody else spoke it, but I knew it was my language. And so I just followed the feeling. So that's what you have to do. You have to follow the feeling. But you have to, like, it might mean you got to pray about it. It might mean you got to fast about it. It might mean there's certain people that you can't talk to on a daily basis anymore, because I my goodness. I was dating this guy. I'll never forget. I was dating this guy, and he was young brother. He was younger than me. And he was pretty successful. Like, you know, he was probably making $500,000 a year. And he started, at some point in our connection, he started making fun of me. He started making, like, you know, he'd be like, you want to give me a reading? Ha ha ha, or something like that. Do you know, I cut that motherfucker off. I was like, you cannot come into my body and lay with me and then make fun of me. I will not hold that energy. He was a bye-bye. Bye-bye. That was it. And you have to do whatever you need to do to protect your connection to yourself, to the divine within you, to your ancestral realm. And if you have things, people, whatever is in your life that is creating doubt or fear or misunderstanding or disruption, it must go. It must go. Whatever is disrupting your own will center, it must go. And when I tell you, when that man was at odds with me, I wasn't as clear as I am now. Now I know that if I have somebody reflecting that to me, it's because it's coming from inside of me and he's projecting it to me. But then I wasn't clear like I am now. So then I just knew that I had to eliminate it because I wasn't strong yet. I didn't have the readiness. I didn't have the strength. I didn't have the clarity. I didn't have the power and purpose that could allow me to transmute him, because I could have alchemized him. But I just wasn't clear enough about that yet, like I am now. So your devotion to how you function and how you feel and who you are is primary. And while Mercury is in retrograde today in Sagittarius at the 8th degree, Sagittarius is about our faith. And this is the second go round, right? So we already went up once and now we're coming back. This is the second time Mercury is at the 8th degree of, this is the second time Mercury is at the 8th degree. So today we are doing the work to transform our faith and in how we feel and what we are here for and who we are. And to understand, because it's Aquarius, you have to understand, because Venus is in Aquarius, it's not going to look like anybody else. The thing that I see Aquarians often struggling with the most is that who you are called to be, you've not seen. It's the future. Aquarius is the future. So you have to, like, who do you want to be in the future, right? And the future can be 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now. The future can be, it's your creation. That's the thing. You create it. You create your future. You're creating it from this moment now, the choices you're making and how you're speaking to yourself. You're creating the future. You're always creating the future today, right now. If you're loving towards yourself, you're going to create a loving future. If you're resistant and unkind to yourself, you're going to create that in your future. If you and you have to understand that everything is oneness. So if you're unloving to others, and love doesn't mean you allow shit. Love means power. Love is truth. Love is not being a doormat, okay? Love includes authenticity. Let's say it that way. Love includes authenticity. If you don't have authenticity, you don't have love, okay? So you want to be in a deep space of loving yourself, because we are at the second time at the 8th degree. So think about what's going on in your life. Think about what's happening in your life right now. What is up in your life? And what are you doing about it? Are you worrying about it? Are you fretting about it? Are you judging other people? Are you deflecting? Are you saying it's them over there? And whatever it is, whatever the situation is, Call your own name. How did you create it? How are you involved in it? What did you do about it? And then how do you feel about it? The question is, how do you feel? Because if you can get clear about how you feel about it, then you can transmute it. She says, what do you mean I could have alchemized them? So I could have taken his making fun of me and known that he was a reflection of me. Like, I'm sorry, I realize that people don't understand that we live in a reflective universe. The reality we live in is all energy based. So that means that everyone in your life is a reflection of your own energy, somehow, some way, whether you like them or not. If I have people in my life who are lying, I have to ask myself, where am I lying to myself? If I have people in my life who are thieves, who show me, like I had somebody in my life not so long ago, we were together and they stole something from a public place and got caught with it. And so rather than me just being like, oh, that person is a thief, I looked at myself and went, where am I a thief? If I'm attracting thieves, then a thief is what I am, right? And so I had to see where I was a thief. And it's not about the things. Nothing is ever about what you see. It's always about what's going on internally. So if I would have looked at this man and said, where do I not take myself seriously? That's because he was making fun of me. Where do I not take myself seriously? Where do I not feel worthy of living my life on my own terms in the way that feels right for me? This is a man who was very corporate. He was an attorney. And here I am talking about, well, I pulled the Queen of Clubs today, right? You know what I mean? Like a very different perspective. But yet he was with me and would call me and be like, would you do a reading? But this time he started to make fun of me. And so where was I in denial of my power? That's how you alchemize something, by claiming it, by knowing that everything in your world is a reflection of you somehow, some way. There is no other. There is no other. There is no other. And we just don't believe that. We don't believe that there is no other. We function in the consciousness of separation because of this reality we've been living in and because we're in the dark ages. But separation is an illusion. It's the Maya. Everything is a reflection of you. Everything is a reflection of where you are with yourself in some way. And that's why, in relationships, it's better to work stuff out in relationship, because you can leave the relationship, but you're going to take yourself with you and you're going to find the thing that you couldn't work out in the relationship in another person, because wherever you are is where you go. Wherever you go is where you are, right? You can't escape yourself. It's not about the people. You are the main ingredient in your reality. And I hope this makes sense. Does this make sense? Let me see who asked me that question. Janice, did that make sense? Did you get it? Did it help? So when people are showing us who they are also showing us who we are. And that is the trick of this reality. The most important thing to understand is how the reality works, so that you can work it the way it's meant to work, and you're not deflecting and rejecting and denying, and it's just a very different thing. So Mercury retrograde at the 8th degree today. Mercury is starting to slow down. So when it's going to go to the 6th degree, usually Mercury, you're welcome. Usually Mercury travels a degree a day. And when it's in retrograde, it will slow down and travel, like it might take 2 or 3 days to get through 1 degree. So Mercury has been at the 8th degree since yesterday morning, I think, and it's still at the 8th degree. And it actually just went to the 7th degree just in this moment. Okay, it's at 7:59 now. Okay, so now that means it's at a Libra degree. So it's at a Libra degree. Goodness gracious, I just did all that talking. So the Libra degree is the degree of marriage and partnership. Okay, this is actually really good too, because Venus is the energy, because we were talking about Venus. So it's still about how you feel, but it's more about how you feel about others, right? And the thing that's the trick about your relationships is this. It's not about the other person. The other person is just your mirror. It's how you show up, right? So whatever they're mirroring to you is a reflection of how you are showing up. Are you showing up confident? Are you showing up self-assured, self-loving? Are you showing up understanding your own gifts and value and benefit? Are you understanding what you bring? Like, are you showing up in your wholeness? Are you showing up in scarcity, in need, in fear? Are you, however you're showing up, pay attention to that. Pay attention to how other people are treating you, that reflection back, and take responsibility for it. Take responsibility for it. Love yourself. How we alchemize, I forgot to say this part. How we alchemize something is through self-love. So if somebody is showing you that they are disrespecting you, you come in and you ask yourself, where am I disrespecting myself? Look for it. Look for it in your life. Where am I disrespecting myself? It'll show you, oh, you don't clean up the way you're supposed to. You don't take care of your health in the way you're supposed to. Where am I disrespecting myself? You keep over giving to your children and they don't have any legs of their own. Where am I disrespecting myself? Just keep asking, where am I disrespecting myself? You are drinking alcohol when you know it's not good for your body. Where am I disrespecting myself? Like and when you see the disrespect in somebody else, when you experience it, you come back and you start doing the work to love yourself. It's a gentle process. The work that I do is gentle because you want to own it. Like you have to change it from the inside. If you don't change it from the inside, nothing changes if you change it on the outside. That's why you can get divorced and marry somebody else and have the same problems, because you're not changed anything from the inside out. So look at your relationships and ask yourself what you're experiencing, and then take responsibility and come into love. And the love is easy. It's like, even though I feel disrespected and I'm disrespecting myself and I'm not doing my best for myself, I still love myself. I still love myself. And I still deserve love. Even though I have not been speaking up in the ways that would actually protect myself and show that I respect myself. Even though I've not been speaking up for myself, I still love myself. I still do. I'm still worthy of love. Even though I'm really unclear about who I am and my purpose and what I'm here to do, I still love myself. I absolutely love myself. This is the only way to really transmute it that I know of, and working with the body, but to transmute the mind. The body is a whole nother thing that, requires you allowing yourself to be uncomfortable and feel, because you must feel the stuff, like the feeling of disrespect. You got to feel it, right? The feeling of abandonment, the feeling of being lied to, the feeling of being made fun of. You have to feel it and love yourself through the feeling, because the feelings is what really alchemizes it. If you can feel it and think it in a new way, if you have to feel it and think it in a new way, and then it alchemizes it. All right, you all. Mercury retrograde ends on the 15th at the full moon in Gemini. I think maybe that day I'll do a meditation or something for us all. And I love y'all. I love y'all very much. If you guys want to book sessions and get coaching, I'm available for that. You can look at my website, healwithmoonmama.com. healwithmoonmama.com, and we can look at your chart and see how this is personally impacting you. And you can ask questions and all that sort of stuff. All right, y'all. Peace and blessings. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.